Hey, friends, welcome back to Notes to My Nervous System, a podcast about understanding your nervous system so you can move through hard moments with a little more calm and a lot less self blame. I'm Erin, a mom, a therapist, and creator of the Mind Circuit app. It's a simple, nervous system friendly tool for moments when your body needs support before your brain can catch up. Today's guest is Carly Catherine, a nervous system coach and certified EFT tapping practitioner. She focuses on helping people settle their nervous system in real time without pressure, fixing, or needing to do it perfectly. This episode explores nervous system regulation during disruption, especially when routines disappear and people feel scattered or self-blaming. Thank you for joining Notes to My Nervous System. So how long have you been doing this? And what is it about the EFT tapping that spoke to you, to give our viewers, our listeners, a little background on what tapping is?
Yeah, so I have been doing EFT tapping for probably 3 years. And what led me to that was a host of things. But to simplify for your listeners, I was someone who, I've done my life coaching, I've done therapy, I've done the self-help books, I've done all of the things. And I was frustrated because cognitively I understood my patterns. I could identify my patterns. I knew my attachment style, but I still wasn't creating transformational change in how I was experiencing and showing up into my day-to-day. I realized, I'm working from the mind channel. And that's all I'm doing. And yes, we're cognitive. We need to understand things. There's power in understanding, but I wasn't getting my body involved in the process. And that really was the missing key. And that's why I found EFT was just a huge release for me, because it was a mind-body tool allowing me to start to creating safety in my nervous system, allowing me to make changes in my experiences and how I was showing up into my day-to-day life, which wasn't happening prior because I was just thinking, analyzing, doing all of the things as opposed to changing.
Right. No, I never understand when people approach things cognitive only. We're not just heads walking around. There's so much more to us.
So much more. So much more.
Have you been in situations where you've used the tapping for yourself when your body reacted and you didn't have words?
Yeah.
I mean, what did it feel like?
Yeah, all the time. But, I've reflected on a few because there's been a few main areas in my life that I have really used EFT tapping. And one of which is around anger and frustration. So probably around my mid-30s, late 30s, I really started noticing I was walking around with a low level of frustration, irritation all the time. And that was just kind of how I was operating. And I was angry and I was shameful around that. Like, that's not who I am. Why am I feeling angry all of the time? And I would explode and it wasn't really proportional to what was going on. And then I would immediately feel confused. I would immediately feel guilt, as we tend to do. And I remember after one of those moments thinking, like, what is wrong with me? Why am I so angry? And my routine hadn't changed. My life hadn't blown up, but it was simply my capacity has changed.
Your cup got too full?
My cup got too full and I was in perimenopause. So my cup was actually smaller, right? Because I'm dealing with
perimenopause.
It's just like all what do they say? Like 34 symptoms and counting?
Yeah. And let's not study it. Let's not talk about it. Let's not help you.
It's so frustrating.
Whole other
Yes, exactly. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But I really just understood that my bucket was smaller. I had fluctuating hormones that were directly affecting how my nervous system responds to stress.
I wouldn't have put that together, the idea that the bucket got smaller because of perimenopause and the impact that would have on the nervous system.
It's huge because that fluctuating progesterone and estrogen affects the center of our brain responsible for our ability to tolerate stress, our sleep, all of that. So if they're fluctuating, that's why I was flying off the handle. And it
Mm,
felt like I said to my sister one time, I'm not someone who smokes cigarettes, but I was feeling so angry that I said, I want to buy a pack of cigarettes. I want to light one up and stand on my sidewalk and watch my house burn down. Like, that's how angry I am right now. And that's what I was dealing with. So that's really an experience recently that I've had navigating and managing and working with my anger and letting it
right,
have a space.
right. Because it's telling you something. It's giving you information.
Absolutely. And the information was, I'm someone who is a natural people pleaser. I'm someone who's hyper independent, and my body and my nervous system was saying, we don't have capacity for this anymore. We got to change this up. We got to set some boundaries. We have to start doing things for you. Right. And that really it was internal anger for me.
And how did the tapping, though, help support your nervous system and your body and your brain in that moment?
Well, why I love EFT tapping is you can show up exactly how you are. And you're honoring and you're naming how you feel in that experience. So, just by tapping on, we use 9 acupressure points on our bodies, and you can simply tap and talk. I'm really angry right now. I'm feeling so resentful because, yet again, there's dishes in the sink. And here I am trying to make dinner. And it just allowed me to take the edge off. And it's not about all of a sudden being zen and calm, and it's just simply taking the edge off where maybe I was at a 10 and now I'm
Mhm.
feeling at a 6, and I'm giving my anger space to be felt, processed, and then I can move through it.
So it becomes more manageable for you.
That's right. That's right. And it's something like you mentioned, something that I could work with, that I could learn from and ask and get curious about it. Like, why am I angry? What is this anger trying to show me and tell me?
I have noticed, and I don't know if you have, but a lot of women will approach anger and just say, I need to work on it, get rid of it, diminish it. And they don't ask themselves, well, why is it showing up? Is it valid? And if it's valid, what can I do about it?
I totally agree, Erin. And I think part of that is culturally. We are told to suppress, suppress, suppress. We're not supposed to be angry. We're supposed to be grateful, all of these things. And it can be both and. I can be both really angry and grateful for my experience. It's a both and. And I think that that's really important for women to have a safe space and build capacity and safety in their nervous system to sit with their anger, to get curious. And EFT tapping allows you to let anger in and with compassion. So then we can start to chip away and titrate that anger that we can then get curious, as you're suggesting that we should.
Yes. And stop dismissing ourselves. Enough people in our
Yeah.
lives dismiss ourselves. We don't need to add to those voices.
Ain't that the truth? Absolutely.
Helped you recognize it was the nervous system, because not every Joe Schmo would go, I'm overwhelmed. My nervous system's going to fight, flight, freeze, fawn. I mean, if I said that out loud in the supermarket, I would get some weird looks.
Yeah. And, initially I didn't know. It wasn't until I really dove into my EFT training and my certification where everything just made sense. I like to say to women in particular, because that's primarily who I work with, was nervous system education gave me a different lens to view my behavior, where I could remove myself from my behavior, where I could remove the shame from my behavior, excuse me, instead of, examining my anger, as I mentioned, as something that should be suppressed and I'm not allowed to feel that way, as opposed to, wait a second, what does this anger mean? Or my hyper independence, as opposed to feeling shameful about that. And why can't I ask for help? I'm burning myself to the ground, doing everything for everyone because I can't ask for help, instead of recognizing and understanding, wait, that is a protective strategy that my nervous system learned when I asked for help and no one came.
Mm.
But I'm older now. I've got resources now. I've got the context to understand what's going on now. And that really just was a light bulb for me that removed the shame for so much of the behavior and what I was experiencing in my life.
Isn't it incredible when you start to get training to help others, how much it benefits yourself?
Huge, huge. I remember being in the training and it was just like an intro. And then I kind of dove. I was like, yes, I want to do all of this and dive right in. I remember at one point having to turn my camera off because I was feeling so emotional, because it was like a permission slip. I'm like, wait, it's my biology. I am not inherently broken. It's not a moral issue here. I'm not lacking. It's just my biology and I need to work with it and support it.
That is such an important little nugget there for everybody to grab onto because so many times, especially women, we will fight our biology and it's a character flaw. It's a weakness. There's something wrong with us. We
Yes.
need to just calm down, take a pill.
Yeah, it's a
Now,
moral failing, right? No,
don't get
it's
me
not.
wrong. Some medicine does help. Not going down that
Yes.
road, but
No, absolutely. I agree with you. I love a supplement. I love a protocol. I love all of
Mhm.
it. In addition to.
recognizing that it is okay to have this emotional range and that all humans have hormones and they impact us.
Yes. Yes.
I wish we talked more about this. You would think in
Well, you're starting the
school.
conversation, so thank you. Thank you.
Well, hopefully this will help someone.
It will. Absolutely.
What is something you find very important when you're working with someone to help them understand that impact of the nervous system, of the hormones, of how that all plays with the biology?
Yeah, there's so much. And it really it does depend on where they're at with their nervous system. But one thing I like to think of is, working with our nervous system, the goal is never to be Zen all day. The goal is not to feel calm all the time, because that tends to be what people think of, where what I'm really working with to create is flexibility in your nervous system. I want you to be attuned to how you're experiencing the world through your nervous system, able to read those signals, not bypass them, acknowledge, oh, in this moment, I'm noticing my heart rate is increasing. I'm noticing I'm clenching my jaw. What is that telling me? And then being able to sit with that, right? And it's not about being Zen. It's simply about acknowledging how we're feeling and being able to move out of fight, flight, freeze back into our rest and digest. So we want to oscillate between the two, and we want to be able to do that freely. I like to think of it as your nervous system as a climate. What is your climate like? There's going to be a storm. We all have storms in our life, and they're going to go through and they're going to move. Maybe they last for a few weeks, depending. Maybe they're a few days. But overall, what is the climate of your nervous system? Are you constantly living in fight, flight, freeze? Vast majority of us are, myself included, right? But it is really about creating flexibility, allowing yourself to attune, and then to shift back into that rest and digest.
That's important. So many people feel like, or will describe to me when I'm working with individuals, this unobtainable goal of just being this meditative monk all day.
Right? And I thought that too initially. I remember thinking like that.
I've just never met anybody who's been able to do that. So for me,
Mm.
I'm like, I don't think this is a goal that we're going to be successful with.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't met one either, but let me know if you do.
Well, you know what? There are some walking right now in Charlotte, not too
Mm,
far from me. So, but
you're right. There are.
I don't think that should be our goal, though. I like the way you say flexibility. Could you expand on more of like what that could look like or feel like day to day? Like, example, a mom rushing from
Yeah.
one thing to
Yeah.
work, home for dinner.
Totally. I have a 4-year-old, and, dinner, that second shift is a busy time. That one thing that we can do is we can use tapping on our commute home. Of course, we can use just one hand. And I can walk your listeners through. We have the karate chop, which is the fleshy part of your hand.
Okay.
Then you've got your eyebrows, just where your eyebrows start, and you can use one hand, both hand, doesn't matter if it's
And it's
left or
just
right.
gentle
You're
tapping.
just gentle tapping. Then we have
Okay.
our collarbones. We have our temples.
Okay.
We have under our eyes. And as I'm doing this, I'm sending calming signals to my amygdala, which is your threat center. It's saying, in this moment, we're safe. We're good. Then we have under our nose, and I can already feel myself decompressing. And then you have under your lip. We have our collarbone. Under our arms, if you decide to wear a bra strap, where it would be.
Mm.
And then you have your crown chakra. And
Now,
that's
would you
all of the points.
suggest doing all the points or just a point, depending on the situation?
Yeah, you can do, and this is a part of EFT tapping. Obviously, when you're working with a practitioner like myself, we tend to go through the points in a sequential order. And I'm going to use language that you're using, and I'm going to be honing into your nervous system specifically because they operate the same, but they're all wired differently, right? Depending on the triggers and our experiences in life. But it doesn't matter. You can pick a favorite spot. I love my collarbone. I tap on my collarbone when I'm driving, one hand on. I tap when I'm waiting for my toast to pop. I tap when I'm watching TV. And the more you do it when you don't need it, the better able you are to utilize the tool when you need it. So, for example, going back to having a 4-year-old son, when I'm in the kitchen and he's in my space trying to get involved, and I'm like, it'd be so much faster if you just got out of here and I could do it. And I can feel, okay, I'm getting snappy. I'm getting defensive. Maybe my voice is rising a little bit. And then I can just tap. And I could talk while I tap, saying, oh, it's really frustrating trying to get this dinner done with everyone in the kitchen. That is really frustrating, but you're 4 and you want to help. So maybe we could do this together. And maybe
I
it's going to take a
love
little bit
that.
longer, right? So I'm tapping as I'm talking through it. I'm not asking anything of myself. I'm not asking that I change how I feel. I'm allowing it and I'm tapping. And as I'm doing that, you're naturally going to notice the more you do it, and depending on where you are, if you're in a frozen state, it's a little bit different. You're going to notice that you're going to oscillate between phase 1, which is our low vibrational emotions. So anger,
Mhm.
resentment, all of that. You're going to notice that you naturally start to oscillate to phase 4, where you're having compassion, acceptance. Maybe you'll feel some expansive energy. And the more you do it, the more safety you have in feeling those phase 4 emotions, that rest and digest, where all of our good thinking, where we feel connected and curious and compassion. So I don't know if I really answered your question there. I kind of went on a tangent, but
You completely modeled a way for somebody to actually do it in the here and now, a real example, which
yeah.
is what I totally was going for
Okay, good.
because I I find things to be beneficial when somebody can explain it to me in a way where I could actually go do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't overthink it. And as so many of us, myself included, when I first started, I wanted to know all like, okay, well, this and that, this and that. There's no right or wrong way. It's going to be beneficial and effective if you pick one spot. You may notice there's a spot you don't like. Just get curious. I had trouble with my head. Well, it's my crown chakra. So maybe I had some growth there. Maybe I had some learning there, right? So just paying
Okay.
attention and being curious.
Interesting.
Hmm.
I also love the example of you doing it with your son because
Hmm.
you're modeling to him it's okay to have emotions. You're modeling to him it's okay to express it, and you're modeling how to move through it. I mean,
Hmm.
that level of teaching emotional regulation right there is golden, if nothing else.
You're right. It is. I hadn't thought of that, but it is really important. And although he doesn't really use tapping yet, I do notice, it is modeling, which is stage 1. But at bedtime, he does like to tap my chest a little bit,
Oh,
just something he does. But yeah, it is. It is really important. And I don't know, like of our generation, that wasn't something that I personally had experience with. It was suppress, suppress. You don't feel that way. You're fine. You
rub
shouldn't
some
be
dirt on it.
angry. Yeah, right? Like get outside, you're good. Get some fresh air. And I mean, don't get me wrong, fresh air can solve a lot of things.
Yes.
But, I didn't have that experience. That wasn't my experience growing up.
No, we didn't even have the vocabulary. It wasn't even a thought.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're
So
absolutely right.
it's one of those things where it's like if you knew better, they would probably do better. And so, it's important to recognize the progress
Hmm.
and also recognize probably in 20 years, our kiddos will be talking about us like this.
Absolutely. They sure will.
I always tell everyone me being a therapist does nothing except for me to be able to tell their future therapist the moments that I messed up.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
about
That's
it.
right. Yeah, well, none of us are getting out unscathed. That's for sure.
No, but I love that you're modeling that it's okay to move through it and talk about it. Whether he does
Hmm.
the tapping or
Yeah.
not, he's still getting the constant reassurance that feelings are okay to have.
Yeah.
And I love that. You
Thank
were
you.
talking about phases though, and
Hmm.
going from phase 1 to 4. Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah. So oftentimes when if I'm in fight, flight, or freeze, that would be phase 1, right? So that would be when we feel heavier emotions, or perhaps we don't even know how we feel, but we know we're not happy, right? Because when we're frozen, we often can't differentiate, right? Am I angry? Am I resentful? Am I, there's all those different layers to it. And then when we move to phase 4, after we clear, after we honor, and after we express how we're feeling in that phase 1, we then allow it to move through our bodies and we get to transform it to phase 4. So I can give you an example while I start tapping. Even though I'm feeling super frustrated with my fluctuating hormones, I accept that that's how I feel right now. Yeah, even though I really feel frustrated with these fluctuating hormones, I accept that this is the stage of life I'm in right now, but it's frustrating and it's hard and my capacity has changed, but also I'm learning where my boundaries are and I'm open to listening to what they have to say. And that's important too, right? So as we tend to honor those phase 1s, we just naturally, as humans, as mammals, then begin to transform them, transmute them, alchemize them into a phase 4.
Where's the 2 and 3?
Yeah, 2 and 3, that's just, we don't really talk about those. Those are more for like when I'm in the teaching, it's not really, it doesn't really pertain to a client or the conversation. Yeah, but it's really just oscillating is what we're doing.
Between
we're moving back.
The 1 to 4, that flexibility.
That's right. So we'll feel good and then all of a sudden we're like, wait a second, but I still. And then we go back and we keep oscillating between the two. And that's what a healthy.
What helps somebody you're working with or even yourself to remind yourself that oscillating is actually healthy?
That's good. In session, I'm with the client while they're doing that. So I'm holding the space. I've trained my nervous system to be able to stay and rest and digest. So I'm an anchor for you or whoever when I'm tapping with. And we co-regulate because we're mammals, right? We read our nervous systems. But I think, just reminding women that this is normal. It's okay to feel this way. This is a safe space to show up and be you. There is no expectations. You just need to show up. And, I think that's just kind of what's reiterated over and over and over again. And the more you do it, the more you're able to trust whatever comes up. Sometimes we don't know what to say, or I'm like, I don't know what to say. Then we can just start with, even though I don't know what I'm supposed to say right now, I love and accept myself anyways.
I like that. The power of it's okay not to know.
Yeah. I don't know. I was called that I just wanted to start tapping, but I don't really know anything about it. I don't even know if I think this will work, but I'm going to sit here, So I think just really reiterating that it's a safe space and whatever comes up is meant to come up and it's allowed. It's allowed to be here.
Is there a certain amount of time that's better to do tapping, or like so many times a week you want to make sure?
Definitely it'd be consistency over intensity, without a doubt. Working with women, I really find that 6 weeks is the sweet spot. We do it for about an hour at a time, once a week or bi-weekly, depending. And then if you're doing tapping on your own, consistency over intensity. So you can be tapping on your way to work. You can tap while you're on your lunch break. You can just little tapping or 2-3 minutes here and there has a huge effect over the course of the day. So I really just recommend whenever you think about it, just to tap. And then you're better able to utilize it when you can, or when you need to, excuse me.
Now, is that something you would suggest always doing, like a practice always to have? Or does it reach a level where, okay, my nervous system is more regulated, so I don't need to tap as much?
No, we always need to tap. We always need to tap. I like to think of us humans as onions, right? As soon as something else is coming up, you're like, oh, I've healed this, or I've really worked on this, and now this is coming up, or this is showing up in my life, or this new circumstance, or this new boss. There's always something.
This has been so interesting. Thank you. I love just all the different ways we've talked about the co-regulation and modeling and the hormone shifts and the flexibility and the oscillating is just, if nothing else, is giving individuals vocabulary to express what they're feeling.
Absolutely. And a tool that they can utilize as they're listening. They can start tapping as long as you're, somewhere safe.
Now, if they want to tap with you, how do they find you?
So I'm at carlycatherine.com and Instagram, I'm at the Carly Catherine, and I do virtual sessions one-on-one, as well as I host weekly tapping circles with women, only women allowed. We focus primarily on perimenopause, and it's really just a great space to show up. You don't need to, I'm leading, you just got to show up and tap, and that's it.
Like, and what occurs in a tapping circle? I've never heard of this.
Yeah. So what happens is there'll be a weekly theme. So it's built around perimenopause. So we have the identity because our identity is changing. Who am I? I don't know who I am anymore. As well as we have the body because our body's fluctuating. What used to work no longer works. Everything is changing. So we will focus on each of the pillars of nervous system as well as perimenopause. And then I lead a tapping circle. So we would do even those statements, and you are simply following along tapping. If it feels available, you're going to repeat what I'm saying. And if not, you can just come and tap and know that just by being in the presence of someone tapping, you are co-regulating. And fun fact, in an hour, you can drop your cortisol 43% with 1 hour of tapping. So, I mean, if that's not reason enough to tap.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
Yeah, there's, it used to be really woo-woo, and now there's so much science that it's biology. It's
That's what I
biology.
always tell people when they ask me, because I'm a clinical therapist and I'm trained in EMDR, a special type of trauma therapy. And so when I talk to individuals, especially since now I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and it's very woo-woo here, people will People will ask me, well, do you believe in this? Or do you like science? Do you do woo woo or what, however they phrase it? And I always say that just because science hasn't proved it yet, and right now it's woo woo, doesn't mean that it technically still is, right?
Yes,
Because there is so much that we learn as we go through life that science proves is beneficial that we just 5 years
absolutely.
ago would have called woo woo. And now we're saying no nervous system regulation, right? So
Absolutely.
I never want to put anything into a box because
Mm,
until it's studied, how the hell do I know?
exactly. We don't. We don't.
And there's still so much about our body that we just don't understand. I mean,
We're just scraping the surface. This is just starting the conversation, right? We're just starting the whole somatics and
well,
yeah.
that's in its infancy so much.
It is. So I'm very excited for it. And, this is one way that you're sharing and bringing this to the world. So thank you for doing that, Erin, because it's so
Thank you.
important
Well, thank you
and
for
needed
showing
and
up.
needed. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Before I lose you,
Of
I
course.
always ask guests one last question.
Okay.
Because I think it's important, especially as women, for us to be able to share this, especially with younger individuals. What is one thing that you would like to have been able to tell your younger self? Because then a listener can hear that and maybe they can take that to heart.
Yeah. The one thing that comes to mind is there's nothing wrong with you. You're just highly dysregulated. I thought for so long that something was really not right with me. And instead of getting curious and being compassionate towards myself, I was really unkind. I was really unkind to myself. And younger Carly had a lot of learning, but if someone just is willing to be curious about themselves and their experience, it'll all work out. It'll all work out.
I love that. And that's really good for any listener out there to take that to heart, that there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not. You're beautifully created just the way you are. Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Erin.
Thank you again for joining Notes to My Nervous System. If this spoke to you, please leave a review and subscribe. It's the only way people find small, independent podcasts like these. But before you go, let's take one small second. Deep breath in. Let's just notice our body, your feet on the floor, your breath, the chair holding you.
Nothing to fix, just letting your nervous system know it made it through another moment. If this episode helped you feel even a little more steady, that matters. That's what this show is here for. And if you want more of those gentle science-based resets between episodes, you can find my app, Mind Circuit Ease, in the App Store or Google Play. It's a quiet place to help your brain come back online when life feels too loud. Thank you again for being here. Your nervous system deserves care and not pressure.